Hey, welcome back to Kult of Athena's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Tom. Today we're looking at the Deltin Early Spanish Rapier. This one's coming to us unsharpened. This is one of the early renditions of the Rapier before the cup hilt, before the elaborate hand protection. Take some specs, up close looks, and a little bit of movement. All right, first impressions on this one. The counterbalance on the pommel is really good for controlling the tip to control the center. So whether we're using this, and now this is an early Spanish Rapier, so this is way before any type of cup hilt that we see associated with later rapiers. Even though this one's from the 16th century, this is really looking more towards side sword category. I'm actually going to grab the side sword that I have for this month that we have for review for Valor Arms, and I want to do a side-by-side comparison. Right, and then here's the side-by-side comparison. Here is the Deltin Spanish Rapier. It has an S guard. It has the rings attached as well. And this is a Renaissance side sword from Valor Arms. You can see the rings are significantly bigger, but if we look at the function, other than the knuckle bow, these pretty much look the same. So they're not really much different. I'd say the size of the rings, you know, and this being a Renaissance one, it's a little bit later, but there's a side-by-side comparison. Look for a review on the Valor Arms side sword pretty soon. They look almost identical, and then swords that look like this, even with an S guard and with a straight guard, they end up being called side swords, but then these are called rapiers. So either way, so we have some hand protection here. When we have the thrust in the extended position, we have that elaborate hand protection with the S guard. That is pretty much just a cross guard, but it's in that S shape, obviously, as you can see over the top. That's going to aid in hand protection. It's going to aid in not having your blade get locked up, and it just looks really good as well. It's a leather grip, wood cord, leather wrap grip. We have a peen pommel. You're going to see more up close looks to this when we get into that, but really solid blade. What we're looking at with Deltin is a chrome vanadium steel. So a chrome vanadium steel. This one's coming to us unsharpened. You could get it sharpened at Kult of Athena. We can add that for a sharpening service. So overall look at it, feels really solid in hand. If you're doing some sort of reenactment, or even if you're doing some training, some light training with this one, I don't see a problem with using this for partner training, especially if you're gonna get the tip blunted, or even if you added a piece of leather to make this thicker, you know, for when you're wearing a fencing jacket and when you're doing partner training. So that's the first overall look on it. Point of balance is really solid. No problems with the grip at all, whether you have a gauntlet on or a leather glove on at all, or if you're just doing this for partner training as well. So really solid on that. With parries, depending on how you want to hold this, whether you want to have the forefinger through the quillion, whether you want to go double, especially if you're learning to use the rapier in this extended arm position. A lot of times the arm can get really fatigued, especially the wrist and the forearm. So honestly, even having this double grip of the middle finger and the pointer finger through the grip, this can really aid when you're learning how to step into parries, into the thrust, whether you're going to the outside or whether you're going to the inside. So pretty sweet design on that. That's an overall first look at it. I like the grip. I like the point of balance. The handle and the guard are very comfortable. Even though the middle finger is touching the S guard. So if you're holding this with the ring finger attached, even though the middle finger is touching the S guard, this is coated very well. So where I don't see you, if you're going to train with it, that is, or if you're going to do reenactments, I don't see your hand getting like torn up from moving these different parry positions. I don't see it getting torn up from that, just because they coated it really well. So let's do some up close looks at this one. Just, there's no scabbard at all. Let's do some up close looks at this one and get a little bit closer look at the early Spanish Rapier. Okay. Hey, let's do some movement with the early Spanish rapier from Del 10. I moved primarily through extended hand positions. I did a little bit of more guard positions where the elbow's bent, just so you can see it. And then a little bit of work in the cut, just so you can see this rapier in motion. Let's take a look at that. Hey, so thanks for joining me for this review of the Del 10 early Spanish rapier. If you want to pick this one up and add it to your collection, click the link in the description below this video to buy this one today at kultofathena.com. I'm your host, Tom, for Kult of Athena's YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next one.